Good evening to one and all present over here. Today's IO will be given by Susim Sabut Sarkar. He is a fourth year ISCRC student, and today he will be telling us whether the zinc air battery is an affordable solution for energy crisis. With this, I would request Sushim Bhaiya to start his presentation.
Okay, so thank you, Priyadarshi. So, just before starting the talk, I want to say to the listener that if you have any question or any problem to understand anything, you can ask me in between the talks also. Like, I don't feel any problem and that. Or if you wrote in the chat box, maybe Tapavan will deliver this question to me, but you can ask in the middle of the talk. Okay. So the zinc air battery is this an affordable solution of energy crisis? So this is the today's topic of the talk. So this isn't just a brief overview what we are talking today. First, it will be a little introduction, and then it's a little introduction. Then the about energy crisis, battery, and other topics. So let's move forward. Okay. So most of today's energy need fulfilled by the combustion of the fossil fuel. We know everything is come from fossil fuel. So it's maybe it's a natural gas or coal or anything like that. Everything is going in this world till today also that most of our energy sources comes from the fossil fuel. But there is a energy crisis because the fast depletion of the fossil fuel and the level of the our petroleums and other fossil fuels are day by day decreasing, and we need to find an renewable energy or other form of energy which we can use in future for this energy for our solution of this our energy crisis. Okay, so what are the renewable energy? So the renewable energies are maybe it's maybe the solar energy, it's maybe the hydro energy, or it's bioenergy, wind energy, or geothermal energy, or the tidal energy. These are the various form of energies we know that renewable energies. But there is problem with the renewable energy is this is highly dependent on our nature. Like this take as an example of the solar energy, it's depend upon that our like sunlight is present or not. And also like on that wind energy, it's depends that wind will flow or not, so not every time we can get. And you know that our energy requirement is not like depend on the nature, it's like a steady graph. Like uh, in a certain point of day we need lots of amount of energy, after a certain point of time we don't need that much of energy. That means at night when we sleep, the energy requirement is less. But this thing, this solar energy or the wind energy or any other form of this renewable energy, they are not compatible with our needs of energy. So what we need for that, so these things are actually generate the irregular power generation. So what we need for that solution is that a sustainable energy harvesting, storage, and conversion. That means what the energy we will produce from the solar energy or the thermal energy or the hydro energy, what from whatever any the source will be, we need some system for storing the energy, and we can conserve it for some times, and we can transport it to from one source to another, because not everywhere we can produce this natural form of energy, because not everywhere the sunlight is like abundant. And like that wind energy, we generally do the windmill in the coastline, or the hydro energy not everywhere, so we need to for the transport. So also remember all of these things, the alternative is the battery, because battery is a sustainable for energy harvesting, and we can harvest the energy for some times, and we can store it and also conversion. And the other alternatives are like supercapacitor and also the fuel cell. So the battery and the fuel cell not only store energy, we can use these two also as source of energy also sometimes, from like from the chemical energy we produce and the electrical energy. So these are the alternatives. So today I will talk about mainly on the batteries. So first the question is, what is battery? So battery is a combination of electrochemical cells either in a series or the parallel fashion. So first thing that we have, lots of people have like in a common misconception that we combine a electrochemical cell with a battery, but battery may be a series of cell, a collection of cell, and electrochemical cell is a single unit. So electrochemical cell, what is do, it transform chemical energy to electrical energy. So this is the work of the electrochemical cell. So this is everyone is knows from like it's a 10 standard textbook that one is the anode and another is the cathode, and there will be a electrolyte, and these electrolyte generate a potential difference between cathode and anode. And if we connect the cathode and anode by a wire and with a resistance, like there is a bulb, is we're seeing that, then we can use this chemical energy so an electrical form, and we can utilize it. So there are two main type of this battery. One is primary battery, another is secondary battery. Primary battery, that means which are non-rechargeable, that means that one time is used, and the secondary battery which are rechargeable, that means we can recharge the battery and use it many a times. The like classical example of this is primary battery, like for the battery which are used for like in the TV remote or radio or these other things, or in the maybe sometimes in the clock. And the secondary battery is our like mobile battery or laptop battery. These type of things are the secondary batteries. So zinc air battery. Now you might ask a question: why zinc air battery? Why not the other battery? Like few years back, like three people got Nobel Prize for lithium ion battery. Okay, so like you know that everywhere now the phone or whatever it is, like in laptop or like in lots of like electronics device, they are based on the lithium ion battery. So but the thing is that lithium is a very costly material, okay, and not everywhere you can find the lithium. There are just very specific areas in this world we can find the lithium, is the first thing. And the second thing is lithium is very lightweight, so extraction of lithium is very we need lots of effort and lots of advanced technique. On the other hand, and if after the lifetime of the battery, like when the battery of the phone or the laptop is dead, so if we throw it in this outside in the nature, so then the lithium can cause the amount of lithium which is remain in this battery, that can cause harm for the nature. Like it maybe acts as a pollutant, and it will destroy lots of like biological activities, and it will affect, more or less it will affect our environment. So on that note, like we need an alternative solution of these traditional lithium ion battery. So zinc air battery may be, let's see, the zinc air battery may be an alternative solution. Why? Because what the consist of zinc air battery? A zinc anode, a air cathode, and the alkaline electrode. So now thing is that there's an air cathode. So in that case of the zinc air battery, the cathode is not like any material metal thing. The cathode is the oxygen of our air. So what the utility of that? The thing is that we need to produce a battery which will be the lightweight. So in that case, we can increase the energy density of the battery. So if the one part of the battery, that means a battery have mainly the three parts, like if we think like that cathode, anode, and the electrolyte. So electrolyte is a liquid thing or the semi-liquid thing. So main two heavy part are generally the cathode and anode, because this is made by metal. But in that case, we are using a air cathode. That means we do no need to put any extra mass in the battery for this cathode. So ultimately the entire weight of the battery will be reduced very much. Like imagine if we have to run a car or like a truck or maybe some heavy duty vehicle. So in that case we need to some battery which is lightweight. Like the traditional battery, the most advanced battery what we have in today's, if we made this foreign truck, so we need like an 1000 kg battery. So it is impossible inside a truck if you put a 1000 kg battery and running it, and it will take lots of energy. So it's not really economically feasible also. So that's why we need to a battery which will be lightweight. So the metalware batteries are like not only the zinc wire battery, there are other metal air batteries like aluminum air batteries or lithium air batteries are also there. So these metal air batteries are one of the main solution of these lightweight batteries. But the thing is that zinc air battery is because zinc is easily available, it is abundant, it's, and also the zinc is not much very harmful. So you can use this zinc after, like if the battery is got destroyed, or I mean its lifetime got over, so you can use this remaining the trash zinc to any other source. That means after that what will happen, the zinc will convert to zinc oxide after the consumption of the entire battery. So you can use this material to any other source, you can recycle it. So there is lots of option. So in that case, in case of the lithium ion battery, this extraction process or recycling process not so easy, which is in case of the zinc air battery. So that's why the zinc air battery may be a solution for our future energy crisis. Okay, so let us look about the configuration. We look the configuration of the zinc out battery. Now look at the what is the reaction is going on. So first is the anodic reaction. So in the anode there is a zinc anode, what we told, and in the electrolyte, what we have the alkaline electrolyte, any like any generally the KOH is there, potassium hydride is there. Okay, so that is a zinc plus 4 OH. It's converted to the zinc hydride and giving the 2 electron, and then the zinc hydride is converted to the zinc oxide and again giving back to the 2 OH minus ion. And the cathode reaction is that O2 plus H2 plus 4 electron, and it's giving to the 4 OH minus. So here the O2 is reduced to OH minus, and that is the main we can say the main important reaction for this zinc air battery. Why it is? Because this reaction, this anode reaction can easily be done. Okay, and thus need for this potential for this anode reaction it not very much. So it's the anode reaction, like it can be easily done. But on the other hand, the cathode reaction, this reaction generally does not happen without any catalyst. So we'll see this how we can make faster this cathode reaction. Okay, so the overall reaction will be 2Zn plus O2, 2ZnO. So this is the overall reaction. So what is it? The zinc is oxidized and forming the ZnO. This is our overall reaction. So if you imagine in our body, like every time, like we are every species takes do respiration. So in our body, what is happening? It is like kind of a similar thing. Like oxygen is oxidizing material, and you are getting energy. So that is the thing here also doing that. Oxygen is oxidizing material. Here it is the zinc, and we are getting the energy coming from this oxidation, and we are utilizing in electricity and producing this electrochemical way. Okay. So what is the neat first thing? The zinc anode. So zinc anode are the gelled mixture of the granulated zinc powder. This is one of the thing, and another will be the fibrous zinc. Okay, so this is the image of a fibrous zinc. So why fibrous zinc? Fibrous zinc may because the surface area of the fibrous zinc is more than other. Previously, people used the gelled mixture of the granulated zinc powder because the small zinc granule there will be more surface area. So that's why there will be more reactive and we can produce more energy. So and later people who are trying to use the fibrous zinc because fibrous zinc they are use the very thin fiber of the zinc, and this fiber of the zinc that is the surface area will be more, and the reactivity of our zinc will be more, and ultimately we can produce more energy. Now the second thing, the so there is another thing, the sometimes there will be some parasitic reaction on this zinc anode maybe happen. So what will happen, because there are already a alkaline medium, and this alkaline medium automatically like it's convert to the zinc hydride, and it will give the corrosion of the zinc, and it will produce H2O. So that means the extra zinc without giving any energy, we can lose the zinc of our from our anode. So that's why we must stop this the parasitic reaction. So the solution is that alloying it the zinc with lead, cadmium, or bismuth or tin. So it will reduce this parasitic reaction, and also it will because this because instead of zinc, then the lead, cadmium, or bismuth, this will prevent this parasitic reaction. Or sometimes we can coat with it like the say aluminum oxide or lithium boron oxide. So in that case we can prevent from this oxidation of the zinc and production of the hydrogen, so we can stop this thing. So now second thing is that electrolyte, generally that 6 molar KOH is generally used as electrolyte. Mm. And another thing is the air cathode. So this is the main thing, is the air cathode. Okay, because we told that oxygen is using as the air cathode, but oxygen can't come directly and converting into a solution of OH minus, nah? Because like if we put a OH minus solution in air, so oxygen can't come directly and again increasing the OH minus solution, because oxygen can't reduce itself, because the oxygen is very the bond of the oxygen is very strong, so it can't go like that. So what we need for this air cathode, so one is like as that catalyst layer. So this is the main important thing, and then is the carbon nanoparticle, which will help to collect the our that means that oxygen. And second thing is that a gas porous and PTFT, it is the polyteflon fibrous ethylene. And second is the current collector, that means what will be the oxygen will coming and what electron will generate, which is collected by a current collector. And also we need a separator, the non-woven polymeric separator or polythene or polypropylene or polyvinylene. The separator is need because the thing is that if the separator is not there, then maybe it can come to the contact of the cathode and anode, and because that, and maybe that will be, I mean, separator is need for, because to avoid the fast moving of this like ion or other things, like we can't get dissolved the catalyst or other things, so you need a separator for that. And but the separator will be such like that it will not react with our reaction medium. So this nowadays, this is the polyethylene or the polypropylene is a nice separator, we can use that. And also one thing, that this is the gas porous PTF if is needed, because there are the like liquid solution, and there we are entering the oxygen, so we have to stop the leakage also here. That means the electrolyte can't get leaked from outside, and also we have to make some its porous to come the oxygen inside. So we have to set it just a way that pore can't allow only the air but not the liquid. So that's why we need only the gas porous thing. Okay, so the now we'll coming to the oxygen reduction reaction. What is the oxygen reduction reaction? This the reaction, yeah, this reaction is called actually the oxygen reduction reaction, because oxygen is reducing. So as I told previously, that oxygen is not reducing by itself, because we need something catalyst to reduce the oxygen. And at this we'll look around at what the catalyst we can use for this oxygen reduction reaction. So first of all, that ORR reaction is very sluggish. That means it's from O2 to OH minus. It is really very sluggish reaction. Okay, so not only we need some catalyst, also like we need, like we are also, second thing is that we can't provide energy. That means if we providing some energy to reduce the oxygen, then what the mean of like in production of energy, na? So we have to need some catalyst which help the oxygen to convert to the OH minus. So why the oxygen reduction reaction is sluggish? Because it is the exceptionally strong O double bond, which is that the bond strength is that 498 kilojoule per mole inverse, and this leads to the small current density and the large electrode polarization. Why large electrode polarization? Because what I told, the zinc is easily get to oxidize under from the ZNO. That means in one side we are generating that means in one side we are generating the electron, but on another side electron does not consume. So what will happen, one side the charge will be accumulate large, and another side will be more and more positive. So that means ultimately it given a high polarization, and my battery won't work. Okay, so that's why we need and catalyst. So reaction can be one thing, the oxygen maybe two routes. First of all, the 4 electron route. So this is the 4 electron route. O2 can directly from H2 and a 4 electron and a 4 OH minus, it can directly convert it to the 4 OH minus by taking 4 electron. And another is the 2 electron route. This is that O2 first converting to the one HO2 minus and OH minus, then HO2 minus again breaking down and giving OH minus plus 2O2. So this is the 4 electron route, this is the 2 electron route. So this 4 electron route, like it's more sluggish obviously, because this is the single step reaction and this is two-step reaction. So generally the 2 electron route are followed, sometimes also the 4 electron route also. So it will depend upon the nature of the catalyst. So we need a good catalyst. That means, okay, for this ORR reaction. So if we to solve the problem of the Zinc-air battery. So another thing, this rechargeable Zinc-air battery. If we made the Zinc-air battery rechargeable, so that means that the charging reaction will be like that, just opposite to the reaction, the discharging reaction of the Zinc-air battery. That means first ZNO will convert to the ZnOH4, and then ZnOH4 is converted to the Zn, and the oxygen will be produced from the OH minus, and the overall reaction is just opposite. If we give some energy, that means electrical energy from the outside, then the reverse reaction should happen. But the thing is here also that oxygen production is not very easy, and this is called actually the oxygen evolution reaction, or OER, and this reaction also is very sluggish. So in nature, where we can see the oxygen evolution reaction, we can see like in photosynthesis. So nature can do it easily, but we can't do it so easily because we don't have that much of catalyst. Like if we have to produce oxygen, that means during this charging reaction we have to produce very large energy. That means it's like if we don't have any catalyst for this OER reaction also, then what will happen if we made a Zinc-air battery, then we have to charge for 2 days and can use the Zinc-air battery for 1 day. So this is completely useless because we can't do that. Now we are providing very high amount of energy and giving some less amount of energy. Yeah, obviously that what amount of we will charge in the battery, we can't get back of that amount, because some of the amount of energy it will be lost in the nature. Okay, but it's not will be the very high, like the double amount of energy we are putting to into it, and getting only the half of the amount of the energy. So in case of OER, we also need some catalyst to generate the oxygen during the charging reaction for a rechargeable Zinc-air battery. So there is the two main reaction. One is the ORR and another is the OER. So this, for these two reaction, we need some catalyst. So now here I want to see that some of the other type of like energy generating cell. Like first of all, like a Zinc-air battery, what is called as ORR is need, and OER is need for the rechargeable one. Okay. So now coming from the fuel cell. So who don't know what is fuel cell, I am just explaining for them a little bit. That fuel cell, what is does actually, it use the hydrogen, that means as a fuel, this is hydrogen fuel cell, and the oxygen of the air, that means it actually oxidize the hydrogen and produce water. Now if there are hydrogen in like in air, it suddenly will burn up and like come very, I mean, what we can say, that very fast it will combustion and it will produce suddenly a large amount of energy, so it will ultimately leads to a destruction. But what we'll do, there is a controlled oxidation, we can say it, of the hydrogen. So this is the main function of the hydrogen fuel cell. So like what will happen in case of like in photosynthesis also, like what we did in case of sorry, not in the photosynthesis, in case of respiration, what we did, it is a controlled oxidation process of our like in glucose. Okay, so in that case the hydrogen we are oxidizing in a controlled manner, and the energy is producing, we are converting into the electrical energy. So in case of the hydrogen fuel cell also, we need to the ORR, like the converting oxygen, because hydrogen is easily converting to the water, but oxygen is can't be easily converted to the water. So in there is also a need for the ORR. Okay. Again, in case of the methanol fuel cell, it's the same thing. Instead of the hydrogen, we are just people are using methanol. But the problem is methanol fuel cell will produce some amount of CO2. But the thing is, people use methanol fuel cell because hydrogen is handling like very difficult, and it can give us some accident. So methanol fuel cell is some of bit of safer for the hydrogen fuel cell, but basic mechanism is more or less same. But they are also need the ORR. Another thing is the water electrolyzer. That means water oxidation. So by breaking the water and producing hydrogen and oxygen, like lots of like in spacecraft nowadays, like people are using this water oxidation and making the spacecraft is like that it's oxidize water and producing hydrogen for its fuel and oxygen for like in the astronaut. So this the thing for like in people are doing for the water electrolyzer. So in that case also we need that HER and the OER, oxygen evolution reaction. So in that case also HER, the hydrogen evolution reaction is not, we don't need lots of energy for the hydrogen evolution reaction. It can happen easily, but there also we need for the OER, oxygen evolution reaction. Another thing, the CO2 reduction cell. So nowadays approach is like they are that we have to reduce the CO2 and converting into in other form, like like Elon Musk told that like if anybody found the form like any very good process for CO2 reduction and of this thing, that means the CO2 capturing, so then if you will be get very you will give a reward to them or that scientific group. Okay, so because the CO2 is like a greenhouse gas is a really problem for us. Okay, so in this case of the CO2 reduction, we also need that oxygen evolution reaction is there. Okay, and also the N2 reduction, that producing nitrogen, this HEBA process, there is the only process still now we know for producing ammonia from the nitrogen. So if anybody can given like electrochemical way of like reduction of the nitrogen and production of the ammonia, in that case also we need the oxygen evolution reaction and the oxygen reduction reaction. So why I am telling this? Because I want to discuss the zinc air battery, but the reason is that in case of zinc air battery there are two basic reaction, ORR and the OER. So if you see that if we can solve the problem of the ORR and the OER, that means good catalyst for the oxygen reduction reaction and the oxygen evolution reaction, we can not only solve for the zinc air battery, this similar thing can be and happen for the lots of like energy production mechanism, whatever it's fuel cell or oxygen electrolyzer, CO2 reduction cell, N2 reduction cell. So we can use the same catalyst for other case because the reaction is same. Okay, but there is one thing that like in zinc air battery, the reaction condition is alkaline. In case of hydrogen fuel cell or methanol fuel cell, it is acidic. Again, for the water electrolyzer, this medium is alkaline. And the main thing is the cat generally now today is the catalyst for ORR and OER. It is the same catalyst. Mainly the we can see the catalyst are bifunctional catalyst. So you will see. I will show you that why the same catalyst can effective for the both of the reaction ORR and the OER. But the thing is, if you can solve the problem of like ORR and the OER, it will not only solve in one case, it will solve lots of many cases. And ultimately, what I'm talking today, the energy crisis, will be we can like get a solution for the energy crisis at least at present state. Okay, so you can tell me that okay, this zinc air battery using the oxygen of air, so this again it will take some oxygen, and then what will be the solution of the energy crisis? Because if we reduce the oxygen from our environment, but the thing is that it reduce oxygen definitely, but it's not increasing the amount of CO2. It's converting to the ZNO. So that's why is an solution for our energy crisis. Maybe it will consume some of amount of O2, but it's not giving us some greenhouse gas. It will giving just as zinc oxide. So what is the main goal? That if you solve the OER and the ORR, uh, we can solve problem of the energy crisis. Okay, so let's proceed. So what I told, that we need a catalyst which should be a bifunctional and act for the both ways. That means for renewable H2 energy from the water splitting, and another is the fuel cell and the junkyard battery. That's the. And also if we like solve for this, like if you can water electrolyzer, in that case if you solve like good oxygen evolution catalyst, you know that like few months back, not only the few months back, still today there is a crisis of oxygen for everywhere. So if you solve a problem for like production of the oxygen with very small energy, and like, and if it is economically cheaper, then it will be a marvelous thing. Okay, so the transition metal based catalyst. The thing is that when we talked about catalyst, the first come in the mind which can be a catalyst, the transition metal. Why transition metal? Because everyone knows that transition metal has the variable valency, so it can produce. I mean, it can act as a very good catalyst. In lots of the case, we can see the transition metal based catalyst. So here we will also discuss that thing mainly. So in early days, pure platinum was first choice of the zinc-air battery due to its high activity. Okay, because the platinum has very high oxygen absorption capacity. That means it can absorb oxygen easily, and it shows very high activity. But the thing is, and it still has remained benchmark for the evolution for the new alternative electrocatalyst. So when a new electrocatalyst is introduced, we use this like platinum carbon electrode as a benchmark for that. Like it is outperforming it, or it is how much it can go closer to this platinum carbon electrode. Okay, so commercially the platinum carbide electrode and the specific activity is like that 0.127 milliangstrom per centimeter square, and the mass activity is 0.096 milligram inverse. But the thing is that there is a various strategies has been developed for the improving the performance of the platinum catalyst. Okay, because the thing is that platinum is very costly, so we somehow we have to beat like and improve the performance of the platinum catalyst, then we can like and compensate the cost of the platinum and the production of the energy. So people tried. So first what they do. Okay, so the thing is that before going to that how they do it, I want to show this like its graph. So this plot is called as actually volcano plot. So if you study this like in this electrochemistry, or maybe this OER and ORR, you will find lots of like this type of plots. This type of plots is called volcano plot. So where it is actual so now in this plot it is showing the activity versus oxygen adsorption energy. Okay, you can see the platinum has very high activity. Okay, so then other metal, like except platinum, the metal is like is silver. The silver also showing is very high activity, and its oxygen adsorption energy is also like it's some a bit of higher than platinum, but you give some good activity. And other is the palladium, copper. As you can see, the copper also have very high activity for that ORR reaction, and other metals are there. So this is the thing. So this, so there is not very much to discuss about this graph. This is just showing that it's activity of these various metal with respect to this uh, oxygen adsorption energy. Okay, so now what the people are doing, tuning the platinum particle size and the morphology. So what people did, so they synthesized the concave nanocube particle enclosed by the high index facets, like such as like 5110 and the 720830, like, and this thing. And this has the advantage of the large surface area of the ORR. So like you can see that, then it is the graph is showing that first of all they are measuring the mass activity of that. So it is the normal platinum carbon battery First of all, we are forming the cubic nano cages and octahedral nano cages. Okay, so thing is that what is the nano cages? So generally, like if you think about a particle, so if it is like in circular, it is very less surface area. So if it is like we can make the surface area like a concave cube, not only cube, we can produce like an octahedron or like dodecahedron or more like any complex structure. I mean, any higher number of like an polyhedron, and with this like concave surface, then it will, the surface area will be more. And if the surface area will be more, that means the catalyst activity of the catalyst will be more. So this is the thing. So that's the people who have to try that to making the nanoparticle, platinum nanoparticle in such a way that its surface area will more and it can give a longevity. So this thing we can see the same is the specific activity. Like you can see cubic nanocage, that means it's a cube. Then the octahedral nanocage, which getting more higher activity. We are saying this is the mass activity and this is the specific activity. And after, and also this is the mass activity reduction after 500 cycle and 1000 cycle, whereas this normal platinum electrode is after 500 cycle it's gets so much reduced, and after 1000 cycle we can't get any measurable amount. So in that case, if we use the octahedral nano cages after 1000 cycle, it will still it is like higher than this cubic nano cage, and obviously the higher than the normal platinum carbon electrode. So the thing is that we are trying in this way, but the thing is that after lots of cycle, the thing is that I mean, using this platinum more and more time, that when the time goes, ultimately this nano cage structure is like transforming into the circular structure, I mean, in spherical structure. So after a certain point of time, the activity decreased a lot. So that means it's not very much effective. Yeah, it's effective in case of like laboratory case, but it's not effective for still now for the commercial use, because if you use the zinc air battery with platinum, then there is no means of like what we started the point that zinc is very cheaper but platinum is not now. So that means ultimately the cost of the battery will be very higher, so it is not very effective. So another thing is that people are trying alloying the platinum. So people are trying the polycrystalline platinum nickel or the platinum cobalt electrode. Okay, so to this has enhanced the activity of the pure platinum. So in this the same the volcano plot, so there is actually the ratio of the specific activity is here, and another is the difference between the oxygen absorption energy. So there you can see the platinum is 0 0 because there are pure platinum is there. Now people are mixing with platinum with other alloy, and they are want to see what will happen. So if you remember the graph, then you can see that in that graph, like nickel, sorry, yeah, if you see the nickel, though it have like very less activity, but its oxygen absorption energy is very less. So that means it can absorb energy, oxygen is very less. So in that case we can use nickel with the combine with the platinum, or also the cobalt with the platinum, because this is cheaper. But the ruthenium and the iridium, these things are not very available. So in that case, we are not combining the ruthenium iridium. We are mainly targeted to the other non-precious metal like cobalt or the nickel, this type of thing. So these are the, like tried people. So people find that this TT3Ni, this is that one of the highest amount of activity we can get. And there is also like this 111, because that means only this cubic form are getting like high activity, not the other form of the platinum nickel. Okay, so instead also the with the platinum nickel, people want to try to combine with enhance the durability of the material. So like platinum is not very durable. That means platinum may be washed out with the electrolyte what we are facing, because we are told that electrolyte is very high um, pH will be there because there is a using the 6 molar KOH, as we told in this is in case of zinc air battery. So we have to make the durable. We have to make the catalyst durable. So in that case, we have to uh, place some like non-precious metal, but which is like a durable. So we know that ferrous and the cobalt, these are like all are the durable. So we can combine with that with like the Pt3Ni and to increase the durability. So like among them that MO like molybdenum Pt3Ni and the over the carbon electrode, and it shows the best water performance over 8,000 cycle and the durability and the high activity it is showing. So that means it is an approach, but still we are using the platinum, and the platinum is very costly. So let us look the other precious metal. What we told that other precious metal what we can use, that is the silver, because that gold is very low activity, so we can't use gold, and gold is also very costly, so there is no means to use the gold. So silver we can use, it is pretty much high activity. Okay, so people try to use alternative due to relatively low cost, because only 1% of the price of the platinum and better long-term stability, shows better long-term stability than platinum. Okay, so at very high base concentration, relevant zinc air batteries, like that is 30% weight percentage K, which we put, and the silver was written even outperformed the platinum catalyst. Outperform in that sense means that it has more durable than the platinum, and also sometimes give the more energy than the platinum. Okay, because like platinum can cause like a side reaction or the parasitic reaction. In that case the platinum may not be more durable. In that case that silver is the more durable catalyst. So this is attributed that electronic structure of the silver is completely filled with d orbital, giving light much less oxophilic surface than the platinum. That means, as you know, the silver has a filled d orbital, so there is like whereas the higher coverage of the OH minus on the platinum surface is suppress the water kinetics and increasing pH. So what will happen that thing is that if the field d orbital is there, so if the OH minus ion like it can't like attach with the silver and form the I mean silver oxide that mode, and it can perform the oxidation process. On the other hand, like in case of the platinum, the d orbital is not fully filled up, there is some vacant space, so in that case that OH can go and like attach with this platinum, and it will ultimately affects the ORR kinetics, because we are using a highly alkaline medium in case of the zinc air battery. So in that case actually the silver is outperforming the platinum, though it is in the graph in the normal case the platinum is at higher activity, but you have to remember that we are using it in a high alkaline medium. Okay, but still we are talking about the precious metals, but we have to, if it is made it economically feasible, we have to made it by the non-precious metal and also the abundant earth abundant metals. Okay, so there is like a brief overview of like what we can choose by the like non-precious metal. How can we use? So first thing that the oxides of the non-precious metal, then the perovskite. Perovskite is the mixed oxide of the transition metal, transition and the lanthanides, and the spinel. Spinel also is one type of the mixed oxide of the transition metals. And there is other thing is the transition metal non-oxide, that means with the sulfide or the phosphide nitride, these also can use, because the main thing is the transition metal. Now we can use oxide or sulfide, that's really doesn't matter for the reaction, but what is matter for this oxide or the sulfide, because it's the durability and the other thing, not our the reaction condition mainly. And another thing is that metal nitrogen carbon catalyst. What is that? This like carbon thin sheet of carbon, that means thin sheet of graphene or the carbon nanotube. Into that we have to dope with that with nitrogen and the metal. So then we can get very good catalyst we can get from that. So these are the mainly the types of the catalyst we can get from the non-precious metal. Okay. Okay. So the non-precious metal, transition metal oxide. Okay, first we'll discover the oxides what are there. Okay, so the manganese oxide. Manganese oxide is particularly interesting due to its rich oxidation state. Mn can give like very high oxidation, so due to the +3 and the 8. So that chemical composition and the crystal structure. Okay, So MnO2 is the most common ORR catalyst in the commercial Zinker battery. So nowadays the commercial Zinker battery, if you see that, like there is like button cell, or like some of the button cell are like the Zinker batteries. In that case, nowadays like MnO2 is used. Like Duracell have some Zinker batteries. They use mainly the MnO2 till now. Okay, so the electrochemical properties of MnO2 materials strongly depend on their crystal structure and the morphology. So in case of, like, we can see the high activity of the alpha MnO2, then gamma, then lambda, then the very lowest is the beta MnO2. These are just different structure of the MnO2. I'm not going to detail discussion of that, why in every case it is changing. But obviously there is something of the structural property, because that will ultimately define like porosity and other things. So that's why like alpha MnO2 is like more effective than other form of MnO2. So beside the manganese dioxide, there is the cobalt oxide are also like performing as a water catalyst. So we can do like combine with cobalt with MnO2 or NiO, and it's shown the improved water activity. So the spinel oxide, what is called the spinel, this is actually mixed metal oxide. The spinel oxide of the cobalt MnO4 or the MnCO2O4 or NiCO2O4 are also a very good catalyst. So these are like non-precious transition metal. This does not give that much of like an platinum, but this we can use at an affordable range. But problem is, this is our discharge voltage. In that case, that is lots of the MnO2 and the n doped CNT. It is given the 50 milliampere current and at 1 voltage. If you see, this is the increasing with the time, that this is the CO3O4 gives 1.3, and the 10, well, current is very low, 10 milliampere. Okay, so if we'll use that MnO2, then maybe the voltage reduced a bit, but the current is increased. And if you say NiCO2O4 with the carbon nanotube, it is some bit of like the voltage also increase, and also the current is increased. And in case of like cobalt, manganese, and O4, like in nanotube, then current is increased much more. And NiO modified CO3O4, it is like 30 milliampere amount of current. Okay, so these are the things, these are the data. So don't uh, not much about this data. Okay, so yeah, so we can see that this non-precious metal R can perform non-noble metal catalyst. But these are like a very simple thing, like 1 volt or 30 milliampere. This is very less thing. That means it's not very effective for like running a very big vehicle, or not a vehicle, forget about vehicle, in some like heavy duty thing, like in maybe a electronic device or something. So this are not enough, but this can be used for like small purpose. Okay, so now another thing is the perovskite oxide. So I told about normal oxide, then spinel, then is the perovskite oxide. Perovskite oxide are also a mixed metal oxide, but in that case, not only the transition metal, there are the lanthanide metal. So this is a basic structure of the perovskite oxide. So this is our the transition metal, and these are the lanthanide metal, and this is the oxygen. Okay, so this is the formula of the perovskite oxide, and these are the catalytic site. So why use the perovskite oxide? Because this gives the sufficient amount of like core, and we can, I mean, uh, perform a very good catalyst with the perovskite oxide. Okay, so the catalytic activity of the perovskite oxide can be tuned particularly by replace A by B in the middle. Like what like the replacing A on the B with other metals. That means mixing the two perovskite and like A star B star O3. That means that will increase the catalytic activity of the oxide. Okay, so let us first discuss about that ORR mechanism of the perovskite oxide. And here you can clear that why the same amount of like catalyst, it's like same, sorry, not amount, same type of catalyst are actually using for perovskite, I mean ORR and the OER reaction. If you look at this chemistry, and I think it will help to understand that. So let us look at that. ORR activity was primarily associated the formation of the occupation of the antibonding sigma star orbital between Eg orbital of the B ion and the molecular orbital of the surface oxygen. That means the oxygen which is coming, that will be forming a bond with the our B metal, that means the transition metal B site of this perovskite. And generally this what is happened, that with the antibonding orbital occupation of the antibonding orbital of the oxygen, and there is the Eg orbital of the B ion. You know that there is the transition metal of two orbital, if in octet T2G, and the Eg d orbital is split into the two orbital, and the Eg will be the higher state. So Eg orbital of the B ion and the antibonding orbital of the molecular oxygen, these will form a bond. Okay, so and so this is actually the reaction mechanism of this lanthanide. So let us understand what is happening first. First, this is the our transition metal oxide, that means what you the perovskite. So this is forming the BOH minus. Now is oxygen is coming and replacing the OH and is forming OO2 minus. That means actually one hydrogen is getting back and one oxygen is coming out. So thing is that this B is actually forming a bond with oxygen. Okay, then what happened? Then again, water is coming out with an electron and it's forming OOH, and OH minus is getting out. Then this OH minus is coming out easily with taking with an electron, and it's again form that BO2 minus, and again that H2 is coming and we're getting back the its previous from that BOH minus. So this is the main reaction. So if you look at this reaction, the main thing, the main part of this reaction, there is breaking and the bonding with that BO bond. So everything will be depend on the strength of the BO bond and the how the oxygen is forming the bond with that B atom, that means the transition metal atom. So what I told that B atom is actually B atom is actually transition metal atom, and it giving like O2 molecule absorb on the surface of the B site end on, that means on the end side, I mean end on side, and the Eg orbital directed toward the absorb O2 molecule can overlap with the O2p orbital efficiently. So this is the thing, that this is the shape of the Eg orbital actually, how it is pointed out that. So this is like that green atom is actually the hydrogen atom, and this is the OO and this is the OH, the forming the OH to the OO. Okay, so this is the actually main thing, that O2 is converting to the OH here actually, O2 and there is OH, and one O is going coming back and H is coming coming, and this is forming the OH. So everything will depend upon this BO bond. Okay, now let's proceed. Okay, so that means the water activity of the perovskite oxide exhibit a volcano shape as a function of the Eg filling. Okay, so now if you look at this graph, okay, so if you look at this graph, if you will see that there is like an Eg vacant Eg orbital where like this is Eg electron, that means it's actually it's lone paired electron. How much of lone pair electron is there? That is the 0, 1 and the 2, and the graph is like going like that. So if you look at that, first of all, that the chromium, like if it is that chromium 3 plus, in the case of the chromium 3 plus, there is no Eg electron, because the formula of the chromium 3 plus is T2G3. Okay, chromium 2 plus is the T2G 3 and Eg1. That means this is the chromium 2 plus to 3 plus, it can coming go and out and for performing this catalytic activity. But thing is that it is almost generally it is zero. Chromium generally placed in the plus 3 oxidation state, and in that case the Eg orbital is 0 and we can't get not of much of activity. Okay, then the copper or manganese. Okay, Mn. Okay, so the Mn and the Mn and the copper, Mn has the T2G 3 and Eg2. This is the Mn2 plus, and the if Mn3 plus, then the T2G and Eg1. Okay, so it's generally Mn. So actually the T2G and Eg1 is there. So it is nearer to the 1 actually. And there is also copper. And the copper is T2G6 and Eg3. There is only one like in lone pair of electron. Sorry, no, sorry, one single electron is there. Okay, so that's why its placed is like nearest to the zero because it's a mixed oxide. So if we replace like an Cu with Ni, in case of Ni, that means that T2G6 Eg2, that means there are in Eg two single electron is there. This is not paired. Okay. So and in case of Mn also like that is that T2G3 and Eg2 or T2G3 or Eg1. That means that's why that it is increasing to towards that. In case of the LaMnO, because in case of Mn2 plus, this is again the 2G3 and Eg1, that is the highest activity. Again, it is dropping like that if we increasing the amount of Eg electron, that means a single electron of Eg. Okay. So the base perovskite oxide catalyst is showing by LaMnO3 and LaNiO3 and the LaCO3 have intrinsic water activity compared to the platinum carbon catalyst. So this activity of this catalyst are may be comparable. That means that these three are with this platinum carbon catalyst. So the perovskite type of oxide have been pursued the lithium, lanthanum, calcium, cobalt, and oxygen oxide. And these are pursued as the air electrocatalyst for the zinc-air batteries and to replace the noble metal. It also see like a significant amount of catalytic activity. Okay, so there we use the perovskite catalyst. So again, like let us discuss about the OER mechanism. I told about the ORR mechanism. So that's the opposite thing has happened. First M, and the M is taking one OH minus, and it is like a MOH. Then again ONOH minus is coming out, and H2 is coming, and H2 is getting out, and form the MO, and then an MOH is forming the MOOH, and then it is M. So previously, what we seen that MOH is there, and this MOH is replacing like first that MOOH, then MOO, then MO, and then again MOH. Here is like that MOH, MO, and MOOH. But the main thing is that here also like the same is that everything depend upon that MOH bond strength or the MO bond strength. So here also you can see that in case of like an optimal case that M with the change of that MOH bond strength, we can get a volcanoplot. The thing is that we have to choose the transition metals in such a way that the bond strength of the MO is not very loose and not very high. Okay, so if that MOH bond strength is very high, that means the reaction can't perform, because that if it is very high, then it will can't break and give that M metal and free metal. And also if that it is very loose, it can't form that MOH bond. So we need an optimal bond strength. Okay, so which is an on and around like more or less in around like 137, like 136.7 or 137 around. Okay, so among them, this is that COFeNiO and the FeNiO. These are like we can like this is the mixed metal oxide. This is not like perovskite. Okay, so these we can use as like I mean a catalyst for the OER reaction. So now here is that again the perovskite oxide, you can see the same metal that lanthanum, calcium, MnO3, and LS, lanthanum, cobalt oxide, lanthanum, nickel oxide. This is the same material again are also giving the very good activity of for that OER reaction. So that's why actually the reaction procedure are just reversed in case of OER. Like if normal case it is perform the water, and when we are giving some energy, that means I mean producing some giving some electrical energy by from outer source, then at case it's giving the doing the opposite thing. Okay, but the main thing is that everything is depend upon that M and O bond. Okay, so that will determine, and as I told that M and O are like determine that oxygen and the bond with the transition metal, that will depends upon mm, the Eg orbital or Eg filling of the transition metal. So that will determine how much it will be the effective. Okay, so this is actually I'm talking about the activity, mainly the activity of the transition metal catalyst, not the other thing, the durability and the long term stability. This is the another thing. Mainly I'm focusing to the activity here. Okay, so here is just an photo that how much of like publication is done from 2018 2020. So like the highest amount is like as cobalt here, and ferrous and the nickel, and then the Mn and the Cu, and the other are not very much catalyst. Mainly these five metal are mainly people are targeting for the catalyst, because these are abundant and these are easily usable. So these are the five metal people are targeting to making the catalyst. Okay, now we are talking about that like transition metal based catalyst. Now we are talking about that another type of catalyst, carbon based electrocatalyst. What are the carbon based electrocatalyst? Carbon material usually show a certain degree of water activity, but mostly catalyze reaction through the true electron process. As I told, the two electron process, it's not much amount of energy is generated, because it is a step by step reaction. Some of energy will be lost. So if it is a four electron process, it will generate more energy, and it is, at a time it will generate 4 electron. So we can improve the carbon material, that means the carbon nanosheet, with by doping. Okay, so the carbon nanotube or the graphene or the mesoporous carbon, we can dope with that nitrogen, sulfur, or phosphorus, or any other halogen atom or boron, and can be efficient water catalyst, and this will be the metal free catalyst. We are not using the metal. And also like end of CNT can catalyze water via two successive two electron pathway, while the end of CNT just we dope with the CNT with N, and we get the 4 electron process. And people also like what they did, they are combining with this end of CNT with the material, mm, with the material of hello.
Yes.
Anyone is asking anything?
No, no, no.
Okay,
You
okay.
can continue.
Okay, so people are combining with end of CNT with an other material, like you, as I shown here. Yeah, in that case, like people are combined with end of CNT, or like in graphene with other, I mean, sorry, non-precious metal, because for the making the air cathode, we ultimately need some carbon, I mean, carbon structure, that means CNT or the in graphene, because for performing the current collector and other thing. So that's why we need some this in graphene. But if we combine with this, both those things, then it will be give some better activity of our catalyst. Okay. So for the time being, I am talking about the approaches. These are generally we are making something like we can say it is like a top-down approaches like thing, because there is a material and we are doping with the material with the carbon with other material, or we are making any catalyst. But the thing is that we have to remember about the surface area. That means if the surface area increases, the activity will catalyst will increase. Like not only the catalyst, any chemical reaction with the surface area we can increase, the activity will increase, and it can produce the much more energy, and that will be the efficient catalyst. Now the thing is that till now what I talked about lots of catalysts, these are mainly like we can form like an solid thing. And if we have to put in this battery and set up in battery, we have to put in it like this the carbon nanotube, because that will increase the surface area, and like that will be helpful to us. Now the thing is, this thing, for this thing we have to made it like this catalyst, and this like electrode structure have to be porous, and we have to made this pore after mixing with this catalyst and the electrode structure. So this thing we have to made. Okay, so this thing needs very sophisticated instrument and other thing, and not all time the making the port is not very easy. So people trying to solve this problem in a different way, they are forming that metal organic framework. Okay, so this is the completely another field of the material, or this metal organic framework, and that we can use as an electrocatalyst. What are the metal organic framework? Metal ion and the organic linker. Till now what I am talking, these are generally inorganic material. Okay, so these are generally like in, I mean, that metal oxide, mixed metal oxide, or maybe the carbon nanotube, or the doped carbon nanotube, or mixed with the carbon nanotube with the metal oxide, this match amount thing. But here we are making metal ion and the organic linker, and that will mix and the 3D structure through the coordination bond. And the thing is that making this metal ion metal organic framework is very easy. What we need to do, we have to take the metal ion and the organic, if we give it to in a reaction mixture and wait some times, ultimately it will form this metal organic framework, and there will be like nice like framework. And if there are lots of metal ion, I mean 4 to 5 metal ion, an organic linker can be anything. Like there are lots of varieties of organic linker, and if we like there's a permutation combination, there are lots of type of 3D structure we can make. And the thing is, this structure is automatically porous. We don't need to anything making the pore on this type of catalyst. This is ultimately porous, and with this metal organic framework we can produce very effective catalyst. So let us look. One of the class of the metal organic framework is the zeolite imidazole framework, and popularly known as ZIF, and is represent a branch of AMOF synthesized by the transition metals with imidazole ligand. It is our the transition metals, and this is our imidazole ligand. So if you put in the solution now this thing, so this will form like this type of like a cage like structure, long cage structure. And you can see this very large pore is here, and a large pore and the small pore, there are different size of pore. And there is like other form of I mean GIF, like this was GIF 7, GIF 8, and the GIF-L. So this is the organic linker is like that methyl imidazole, it is the benzimidazole, and the Jaden source we had used the simple salt of the zinc. So production of this MOF is very easy, it's not very difficult. And we can like this thing, not no need to very sophisticated instrument to production of this organic framework, and we can produce an efficient catalyst. And there are lots of varieties of metal organic ligand, and by changing the organic ligand, by changing the metal, we can change the tune the pore size, and with the changing the pore size and the small pore and the large pore, we can make lots of type of varieties of catalysts. And you can see like there will be different structure, and there will be a different structure, that means there will be different types of catalyst. Okay. So the advantage of the MOF electrocatalyst, first is a high surface area and a tunable hierarchical pore capable of the uh, accommodate active sites and the sorry, it's actually accommodating many active sites. It's joint, sorry. Okay, accommodating many active site and the promoting mass transfer. Okay, this is the first thing. And the second is the diverse choice of the heteroatom and the doping. Okay, because not only that we can giving this I mean, metal source, also we can dope with the other metals in case of like in organic linker, that means the organic ligand, that we can dope by nitrogen, doped by phosphorus and other things. That is doped by mainly nitrogen, we can dope by phosphorus and other things, sulfur. So this also help us, and also the involvement of like that COFE NOx moiety, which creates highly catalytic activity, this that COFE and nitrogen, and the presence of the graphitized carbon formed via catalysis over FeCO etc., leading improved electrical conductivity and suppressing corrosion of the carbon. That means, like what we told, that we need the at least a carbon framework to make the cathode. Okay, so now if we form this type of MOF based catalyst, and this is with like pyrolyzed with this carbon and like forming a electrode, then what will do, it not only gives like very high effectivity, also it will be reduce the corrosion of the carbon, that means our air cathode. Okay, so these are the benefit of the MOFs. So if you look at that timeline of the MOF, from where that major discovery of MOF, it's just like that, like 10-15 years back. It's just 2008 first that MOF template carbon materials were supercapacitor and gas storage application was first. So then that people are using it that lithium ion battery. Okay. And the first water activity on just in 2013, not the 10 years back. And hierarchical hollow doped carbon and the nanotube framework water and the OER is just 2016, and people are just exploring this thing. So this is a new world of like we can say that of the metal, I mean electrochemical catalyst. for this OR and OER reaction, and this just developed in the 10 years back. And this is a fascinating thing because like uh, you just need like organic linker and the metal, and if you put in the solution, and it will form ultimately the your metal organic framework and very good catalyst. And just you have to just choose that what will be your organic linker and the metal, and you can tune this by changing the organic linker and metal, and like it will give a diverse application. Okay, so oh sorry, this slide got before. So there is, I'm giving an just an example of like an forming a metal organic framework based electrocatalyst. So like people are doing the synthesizing procedure. This is a synthesizing of like that FeSu ZIF. Okay, first they are like that ferrous and the copper. Okay, so like people saw that ferrous based zinc organic zeolite imidazole framework giving a very good activity. Now as I shown that copper also have like in this like volcano plot, I shown that copper also have activity. So one of this research paper was trying to make this like Fe copper mixed JDI. So what should they do? So they first took the zinc precursor, that means zinc actually used as a precursor, and the copper foil, and they ultrasonic put in the ultrasonication, and then they put the Cu, and after that if you wait 4 hours at a 35 degrees centigrade, your material will be prepared. And then after that you have to like 900 degrees centigrade, you have to pyrolyze this thing to making the final electrode thing for like in on a carbon structure. So you can see that we no need to like a very sophisticated instrument, like up to at least up to this period we can make this thing like in simple laboratory condition. Okay, so that is the thing. So now the conclusion: in the last several years, the many high-performance, non-precious metal-based OER and water reactor catalysts have been developed. Moreover, progress has been made towards electrically rechargeable zinc-air batteries, and the future recharge on the zinc-air batteries should placed on the continuous optimization of the battery design and the electrode materials. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhaiya, for your insightful talk. If anyone has doubts, he or she can may ask, and if not, we may end this meeting.
Like anyone have any question?
I have one actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ask.
So, as you said that these zinc air batteries are not heavy duty batteries, so can we expect in the new future that like it will be also applicable for the heavy duty stuff?
Yeah, it's just depend upon your how much I mean how effective catalyst you can make. As I told that ORR and the OER, it is the basic reaction. It like varieties of uh, I mean electrochemical I mean cell or that means fuel cell or the battery. So like you can give, I mean if you improve this catalytic activity and that you can make it, but that is future. But the thing is that this metal organic framework is like the last thing what I told. Actually the perovskite thing people are studied from long back, like from 10 to more than 20 years and 30 years. Okay, but thing is that the metal organic framework is a new thing, but choosing this electrocatalyst catalyst is very difficult, because what material you should need and what not, so this choosing is very difficult. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to study a lot. I mean, lots of paper, and then you have to put some intuition, and you can say that yeah, this can happen, this cannot. Okay. But the basic thing is same. Whatever you study, it's fuel cell or zinc air battery or water electrolyzer. The basic things are same. Basic understanding is same. Anything more? Any other student? Any second year student?
So the is can be more durable than lithium ion batteries.
uh is more durable. See, the durability generally depends upon the catalyst. Now the thing is, there is a one problem of lithium ion battery which don't have in the zinc air battery. The thing is that lithium ion battery The structure of the lithium ion battery, if you charge a lot the lithium ion battery, the structure of the lithium, this cathode and the anode, these got destroyed actually. Or if you discharged very high amount, then also the same thing happened. That's why they like people told that like the mobile phone battery, if you charged a lot, the battery actually drained. And if you like use the mobile battery like every time, like you're charging the battery when it goes the almost zero stage, then ultimately after some days you will see your battery will destroy. I mean, battery will effectivity will be decreased day by day. So in that case, there is a problem with lithium ion battery, but zinc air battery don't have this problem. But the thing is that zinc air batteries energy density is not much very high, so that's why we can't use this case. But if we made a good catalyst, it will be obviously more durable than the lithium ion battery. But till now, it's not. Any more question? Anything like any basic question also, like if you don't understand anything.
Brother, what will be the battery
Yes.
life of that?
See, battery life. Okay. The thing is that this thing is not in a hand of any researcher. Okay. So these thing are mainly like maybe any industrial researcher or any industry person can say that, because it maybe that is guessing very difficult actually. Okay. And people don't need like
Yeah,
very
yeah.
long lasting battery actually, because nowadays the thing is like that you at least need a durability at least for some times. Okay. So but don't expect very long lasting battery. Okay, you have to just a rechargeable capacity, a good.
Are there some specific conditions where we can use the zinc air batteries? Like there are some ambient conditions for it.
No, not that much. No ambient conditions, not that much. Like the reaction does not depend of like not very temperature. Like this, all the reaction happening like in normal temperature. No need to like any very high environment. Yeah, the thing is that the perovskite preparation, what I told that in that case, one thing is needed for the preparation, not for the operating. The preparation you need the inert environment, that means nitrogen gas you need for making this perovskite thing. But like in MOF and other thing, you no need to put like an inert environment for this the preparation thing. But for operating the battery, it's not, because you have to need the air ultimately. That means the oxygen. So any more question? You can ask whatever in your mind depends. Anything. If it is not, then we can end the meeting. I think the one, whatever you say.
Okay.